All right, so I got basically three categories of teams that I think can make the college football playoff who haven't already. The first one is the one that I am calling next in line at the door, or most likely teams to make the CFP by 2026. These teams, again, waiting on someone to lead the club because it's at maximum occupancy. Okay? Maybe that's Clemson. Perhaps it's Oklahoma. More likely. But it ain't going to be Alabama. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is where we're at right now. So at the top of the list, many of you have already noted this, and I think it's really their time. Texas A&M. A&M is perhaps the only program in the country built to join this exclusive club in 2022, despite having not won a conference title this century and having not won a national championship since World War II. Okay, their last conference championship is 1998. Their last national championship is 1939. I've made all the jokes about ampersand U, and then they got it together in a big way, not just with this 2022 recruiting class, which is the best all time, which had Jimbo Fisher out here denouncing everybody from Jack Swarbrick to sliced bread, which was a great press conference, and we need more of them. But even before that, because Jimbo Fisher became the first former Nick Saban assistant to beat Nick Saban, and he did it with a backup quarterback in Zach Calzada, who since transferred to Auburn. Doesn't matter. Jimbo Fisher traded up like you do in Texas to Max Johnson, who had started at LSU and famously beat Florida as a true freshman. Also in there, I got to add this. Fisher was able to beat Nick Saban on his 56th birthday. That's pretty cool for him. And I also need to add in here, he was able to bounce back with some staff changes that I didn't expect him to be able to do. Like with Mike Elko becoming the new the defense coordinator, Mike Elko becoming the new head coach at Duke, we got to see DJ Durkin leave Ole Miss to come to A&M. I don't think that having Jerry Schmidt leave you is ever good for anybody. I'm glad he's at Oklahoma, obviously, but we'll see how they bounce back with their strength and conditioning and their winter training come spring ball, okay? But that defeat of Alabama really put A&M on this path, and then they followed up with this recruiting class. It's all there for them, but the SEC West is still the SEC West, and they have never won it. Now, second team on this list is Utah. Perhaps the most overlooked Pac-12 champion in the history of the Pac-12 as far as I'm concerned, with the most underrated coach in the sport in Kyle Whittingham. Again, you talk about the Utes who, if they win 11 games and lose just one or two and win the Pac-12 championship, they're probably getting in. With one loss in a Pac-12 championship, I got to see them getting in, right? Unless you got an undefeated Big 12 champ, you got an undefeated ACC champ, you got an undefeated SEC champ, and you got an undefeated Big 10 champ, then of course. But it hasn't turned out that way. All Utah's got to do is hold its water. And it feels like it can do that with the change in head coach at Oregon and at USC, the two places where I expect them to run into the most resistance. And then, Arizona State, who I thought might have something together, has Jaden Daniels going into the portal along with the NCAA investigation into recruiting. It's fallen apart over there. We'll see if they're able to put it together in time for the season to kick off. But also, this is a Utah team that took a really great Ohio State team to the brink. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba had the best receiving game in history by a wide receiver, and Utah still had a shot to win that thing at the end. They got Cam Rising coming back. I think they're going to be okay. Okay, number 3 on this list for me is Baylor. Dave Aranda's Bears performed the greatest year-to-year flip since, Central Florida, right? Who went from 0-12 with George O'Leary in 2015 to Scott Frost flipping him into 13-0 in 2017 national champion. Yeah, I said it. But the Bears, after winning just 2 games in 2020, won the Big 12 championship, won a Sugar Bowl, and marked the first 12-win season in their school history. Dave Aranda signed a contract that puts him there, it feels like forever. I think it's actually through like 2029, 2026, somewhere in there last week. I love Dave Aranda. He's got a master's in philosophy, and you can see him coming through in that way. That defense is really great. The change in coordinator Jeff Grimes seemed to put them over the top. I think Blake Shapen is going to be a really, really great quarterback in the Big 12, and I'm excited to see what they look like. All right, next team on this list gets into my second bracket here, which is asking a friend to say he's with me or likely teams to make the college football playoff by 2026. These teams are much more likely to come through the front door because they know somebody. They're right there if things break for them. Top of this list, number 4 on the list as a whole, USC. Okay. It's kind of controversial, but let me walk through it. Athletic director Mike Bone hired exactly who he wanted to in Lincoln Riley, expressly for the purpose of getting USC to the college football playoff. Now, we can make jokes, and we will continue to make jokes about Oklahoma being the team with the most appearances in the college football playoff without a win at 4. But we also need to add, as I hit my microphone again, that Lincoln Riley was able to get Oklahoma to the college football playoff, which is the exercise here, okay? The exercise is not winning a college football playoff game. The exercise is getting to a college football playoff game. And he's been able to do that. Now, we'll see what it looks like. But, I got to say this. Kirby Smart's been to the college football playoff twice. He's 3-1. Lincoln Riley's 0-4. Like I said, we'll get our jokes in. But you got to also understand, Caleb Williams gets it together, and they put together a run game like I think they can. Raleek Brown's going to be a stud back there. They're able to throw the ball. And then if Alex Grinch can actually do something with that defense, you could probably win the Pac-12 championship the way that you won the Big 12 championship at Oklahoma if you're Lincoln Riley. You put up 50 and you beat people 50-49, right? I'm being facetious here, but you get what I'm saying. You don't have to have a great and outstanding defense to win any conference championship. You just got to outscore people. Now, if you want to go win national championships, you got to be able to stop people. But again, that's not the exercise. The exercise is getting to the college football playoff. And I put them 4 because I think they're the 4th best team who hasn't made it yet. Okay? I put the other 3 ahead of them for reasons that I stated. Okay. Number 5 on this list for me is Wisconsin. No team has appeared in more Big Ten championship games than the Badgers, who are tied with Ohio State with 6 total. Of course, Wisconsin has won just 2 Big Ten titles since its inception, 2011, and not a single one since 2012. Means we've yet to see Wisconsin win the B1G in the CFP era, and that is obviously a prerequisite for receiving an invitation to the college football playoff. Okay. Now, until the Big Ten champion decides to do right by itself, which is drop divisions, that means that they're going to have to get past Iowa. That means they're going to have to get past Purdue, Minnesota, whatnot, and then probably Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, somewhere in there, Michigan State, if they're having a great year. I think perhaps, maybe, I'm sure this is the hope for Badgers fans, Bobby Ingram can do something with Graham Mertz, because that's what it's going to be. Because as much as Wisconsin fans would like to believe they can hand the ball to Braylon Allen 40 times a game and ride that to a Big Ten championship, that ain't the way it's going to go, man. And look, Braylon Allen is that dude. We all know it. 1,268 yards on 186 rushes, including 29 for 159 against Arizona State in the Las Vegas Bowl. But you're going to need Graham Mertz or a quarterback to make a play for you. This is why Wisconsin fans were so excited that Caleb Williams even breathed in the direction of Madison, because they know they're a quarterback away, and they let Jack Cohen walk. I'm never going to let that go. All right, number 6 on this list is Iowa. All right? Iowa has never felt like the kind of program that is knocking on the door of Club CFP demanding entry. And that's in part because head coach Kirk Ferentz doesn't think that's a reasonable way to measure success in his program. And he said so. As a matter of fact, this is a quote from The Athletic last summer. It's been fascinating on one hand, but my concern is, like, if you don't end up in the Final Four, you're basically chopped liver. I think college football is a lot more than that. I'm the older guy. I'm an idealist in some ways. There's a lot of really good stories in college football, and they tend to get minimized a little bit because of the CFP. And you know what? He's not wrong. But if your program's ethos is not winning national championships, it's hard for observers outside of your program, a la me, to say that Iowa needs to be in the college football playoff. if that ain't what you want to be. They felt like they were just going to be fine having an opportunity to win the Big Ten championship last year. And if they didn't get to play in the college football playoff, and they wouldn't have, they'd have been okay with that. It's hard for me to say that you need to be here or that this is a thing that you desire if, quite frankly, you don't, right? They're content to be Iowa. And there's nothing wrong with being Iowa. But it is difficult for me to say that you're going to make the college football playoff, even though Iowa has been one of the great, good to great programs of the last 2 decades. Thanks for watching this video. And remember, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos on the #1 ranked show YouTube channel.